do you think there will be a situation if Egypt does not agree, then they will put pressure, economic pressure, or the funding pressure on the military to make President Sisi bow down to the American?
I think already we have two kinds of US aid. Since Egypt signed Camp David, Egypt has been getting 1.3 billion annually as a grant for military assistance. This military assistance consists of weapons, of training military people, and of spare parts. So my guess is that he will freeze it either fully or partially. We also have an economic grant every year, and I think it's about $100 million.
So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. This is Middle East Insights, and I'm Dr. Shubda Chaudhary. Today, we are going to talk about Trump's proposal and question of forced displacement. What are the implications for Palestinians and the regional stability in the region? So, before we start, I would request all of you to like and subscribe. And today, we have a very, very distinguished guest with us, joining us live from Cairo, Egypt. Noha Bakr, Dr. Noha Bakr is a distinguished professional with a diverse background in academia, corporate affairs, human rights advocacy, and international cooperation. Her extensive experience and accomplishments are a testament to her expertise and dedication in various domains. She is a prominent figure in the realm of human rights and corporate affairs, holding notable positions and contributing significantly to multiple organizations. She currently serves as a member of National Council of Human Rights, which is for the term 2022 to 2026. In addition, she holds membership in the Committee of Citizenship and Human Rights at the Supreme Council of Culture from 2022 to 2025. She is also renowned for her role as a former Communications and Corporate Affairs Director at Lafarge, Egypt, where she held the positions in both 2009 to 2011, 2020 to 2022. Prior to that, she notably served as the executive director of the Cement Division of Federation of the Egyptian Industries, garnering recognition and awards from the cement industry for exceptional contribution. She is a respected speaker in international conferences as InterSem in Dubai, Cairo, Semtech, Dubai, Collatrons, Cairo, Building Materials, Cairo, showcasing her expertise in addressing industry challenges and opportunities. In the civil service domain, Dr. Noha Bakr's career extends beyond the corporate sector into the realm of international cooperation. She has held prestigious position of assistant to the Minister of International Cooperation, overseeing international economic cooperation with Canada and Americas, demonstrating her adeptness in fostering global partnerships and collaboration. In academia, Dr. Noha Bakr continues to make significant contributions through lectures in various esteemed institutions worldwide, complemented by her international publications that enrich scholarly discourse and interaction with media and the press. She also serves on the advisory board of esteemed organizations such as Egyptian Center for Strategic Studies, Kemet Botros Ghali Foundation, the Arab Network for Tolerance, underscoring her commitment to strategic thinking, philanthropy, and promoting tolerance. She is also a valued member of Egyptian Council of Foreign Affairs, adding a diplomatic dimension to her multifaceted professional portfolio. So, with this introduction, I really hope that our students are very, very empowered because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to interact with her. And we are very privileged for your time, ma'am. Shukran, Habibti.
Shukran, Professor Shubda, and it's a pleasure to invite me to talk on your panel, and I'm really very interested that we also will be sharing views at the end of my short talk. I'll try to keep my talk short and to hear from you, to answer your questions, and so that you can share your thoughts.
Yes.
Today we'll be talking about displacement of the Palestinians.
Yeah.
And this is a proposal that President Trump has proposed to displace the Palestinians of Gaza to Egypt and Jordan. We will be discussing the legality, the human rights aspect, the feedback of the region, of the two countries internationally, and we will be also discussing what's next. How can we look forward to what's next? Okay, before I start, allow me to share with you some background information. This background information will give you a hint about the situation in Gaza. So according to the estimates from the UNDP, 69% of Gaza infrastructure was destroyed. Also, the reconstruction will take from 3 to 5 years and cost an estimate of $18.5 billion just for the infrastructure. Also, Israel military operations have unfortunately damaged approximately 370 housing units, including 79,000 were completely destroyed. Approximately 68% of the agricultural land dedicated to crops production has been damaged. And this actually affects significantly the production of this land. 80 to 96% of the agricultural facility, irrigation, canals, animal farms, storage centers, and agricultural machinery has also suffered severe damage. Disposing of approximately 50 million tons of rubles is an urgent task and is estimated to be fully accomplished in 15 years. Further to our sad story, extracting victim bodies from the rubles is further more complicated than we can imagine due to unexploded items and sharp objects. The United Nations Mine Action Service estimates that Gaza Strip contains approximately 7,500 tons of unexploded items. Approximately 37 million tons of waste needs to be removed. Israel attacks have killed 46,600 people and injured more than 110,000 through actual number, although actual number cannot be precise. Half of Gaza Strip hospitals, which were 36 hospitals, are still partially functions, while the rest have been completely damaged and destroyed. Only 38% of primary healthcare service remain operational. Now, this is the situation on the ground. And this happened, of course, after the 7th of October in 2023. Since then, this has been the accumulative damage. Some of them are estimation and some come from the United Nations. Okay. Further background information is the proposal of President Donald Trump regarding the potential displacement of Gaza population to Egypt and Jordan. Also added to it, Netanyahu has said that Saudi Arabia can also host some of the displaced population of Palestine, but according to President Trump, it's Egypt and Jordan. This makes us think about the respect of human rights, respect of international law, and the respect of the sovereignty of and regional geopolitics. We need to ask ourselves, is the solution to forcibly displace the people of Gaza? Will this solve the problems of the region? Let's go to the legal implication. According to international humanitarian law, protection of civilians, particularly the Geneva Convention, offers protection of civilians during an armed conflict. Actually, it prohibits targeting of civilians and obligate parties of conflict to distinguish between competence and non-competence, which didn't happen, of course, because we see also among this 46,600 who were killed, children and women who were not part of the conflict and are purely civilians. Also, according or based on legal aspects, displacement and prohibition, forced displacement is prohibited under Article 49 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, which states that individuals should not be forcibly transferred from their homes unless their security is an issue due to military reasons. Also, forcible displacement is considered war crime, and displacement may constitute a war crime subject to prosecution in national and international court. As you surely know that the International Criminal Court has accused Netanyahu or is in the process of looking into Netanyahu indictment for genocide. And I'm sure you all know that genocide, it's not only a war crime, but there must be evidence that there is a will to eradicate a certain ethnic group or racial group. So here we can relate forcible displacement to genocide. If we go to the ethical implications, actually the vulnerability and human dignity of Palestinian population has been highly injured. Women, children, and elderly and displaced individuals face increased risk during displacement. Actually, some of them die during displacement if it will take place. Some of them, if displaced, will be cutting their education for children. Some of them will be suffering from health issues. So the safety and dignity actually is at stake here. On ethical level, also, cultural issues. Displaced individuals often risk losing their cultural identity, which raises ethical concerns about the preservation of cultural and heritage of the Palestinians. Further challenges is upon moving to Egypt, Jordan, whatever, Saudi Arabia, what will be the situation if they host them in refugee camps? And will they be able to integrate or not? Will they suffer or not? The impact of Trump proposal on the Palestinian sovereignty, the erosion of territorial integrity. This is their country. Imagine if you're asked to be displaced from your country. Imagine if your country or any country that we are related to, simply there is an erosion to its territorial integrity. Such actions could be seen as a form of external control over the Palestinian land, undermining claims of sovereignty, self-determination that are the roots of international relation. And we all know that the roots started with Westphalia Treaty 1648. Also, it challenged national identity. So also not only territorial integrity, but also the national identity. Historically, the Palestinian identity have been strongly tied to their land, to their the trees, the olive trees, and proposal for relocation them may further dilute this identity and create division among Palestinians. Concerning leadership legitimacy, what kind of legitimacy would the Palestinian Authority have if they allow this to happen? Not only the Palestinian authorities, what kind of legitimacy will the Arab leaders have in front of their people and population if they allow the Palestinian case to be diluted, the people to be displaced? Also, if this happens, will this kill the Palestinian case? Will this make the Palestinian case be forgotten over years? All this we need to look at. Okay. We need also to look at the impact of this proposal on regional geopolitics. On Egypt and Jordan, the first two countries that Trump has proposed. First, the socio-economic pressure. As you know, both Egypt and Jordan host already Palestinians. Actually, Jordan hosts about 2 million Palestinians. Egypt in general hosts refugees, a number of refugees that is estimated by 9 million refugees, because we have refugees from Palestine, refugees from Iraq, refugees from Syria, and refugees that come to us from South Egypt, from African countries that are in conflict. So already we are burdened by a huge number of refugees. Also, for Egypt and also for Jordan, huge number of refugees have an impact on the domestic resources. Let's look at Egypt. Egypt has been suffering by economic difficulties since the start of COVID-19. It further increased with the Ukrainian-Russian war. As you know, that Egypt is the biggest importer of wheat. And we used to get our wheat from Ukraine. Now our bill of wheat have increased tremendously. Egypt has scarcity in water. So simply this number of population, the 9 million that exists and the 1 million that is proposed, or 1.5 million to be added from Gaza, simply this will add to our issues of scarcity of water. You might have heard about our black cuts in last summer because of fuel shortages. So all this simply will backlash against the refugees if they come. Let alone that refugees, if they come to Egypt from Gaza, they will be also competing on jobs that are already scarce. Jordan has, and Egypt has also a unique issue with the forced displacement. Jordan, the Palestinian the population that already exists in Jordan is very high. And the integration of additional refugees could simply affect the balance of power, because if you visit Jordan, if you get a chance to visit Jordan, you will find that it is a country that is highly branded. You will find flags everywhere, photos of the king everywhere, simply because they want to say this is our country, because the number of Palestinians that already exist, the number of people who are originally Palestinian, affect the balance of the demographics. Egypt has another issue. Egypt has borders with Gaza, and may be reluctant to accept a large number of displaced Palestinians, viewing it as a threat to the national security and stability, being the fact that we share borders with Gaza. Okay, this is one thing when we've discussed Jordan and Egypt. What about the Arab-Israeli relations? Actually, what happened in Gaza have led to the slowdown, if not an obstacle, to the normalization between the Arab countries and Israel. Because their people will never accept, after what they watch on TV and on social media, of the amount of horror the Palestinians have viewed. This affect further pushing for forced displacement. This affects the chance of normalizing relation with Israel. Also, public opinion in the region is very negative towards the displacement and towards Israel. So simply Israel, after it was coming closer to the Arabs in general, now it has put their leaders in a position where they cannot normalize, and the people in general, the civil societies, have been demonstrating in the streets against what's happening. Okay, if we look at the repercussions for the Israeli-Palestinian in specific relation, actually, this has put, and further the forcible displacement will further put the peace process and the solution of the two-state solution under further stagnation. Also, anger brings anger, violence brings violence. And what the Palestinians have suffered from might lead to the terrorist groups being able to further recruit or easily recruit among them, using or abusing the anger that the Palestinians have suffered from. And this might lead to terrorist acts not only in the Arab world, but also world, or against Israelis, but worldwide. Also, Egypt and Jordan have to respect the sentiments about the Palestinian rights, have to respect the international law and international humanitarian law. Any displacement will not be acceptable by Egypt, Jordan, or any of the Arab countries. If we discuss the response of Arab states, why don't we move to the response of international organizations and international governmental and non-governmental organizations? If we move to the United Nations, the biggest umbrella of international organizations, we'll find that General Assembly have produced 4 resolutions against forced displacement. Not only that, but also there were attempts to produce resolutions from the Security Council, but unfortunately, because of the United States, that it has vetoed such resolutions. The UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA of the United Nations, have also expressed concerns about the proposal that would lead to forced displacement. UNRWA emphasized the right of the Palestinians to return and opposed any initiative to undermine this right. I don't know if you know, but Palestinians even living in the diaspora, they go holding in their neck the key of their house to show, maybe the house is destroyed, but still they seek the right to return. Human rights bodies like the UN Human Rights Council, United Nations Human Rights Council, have criticized measures that might lead to forced displacement. They emphasize adherence to international law regarding rights of refugees and obligation of states to protect these rights. Now we move from the umbrella, the biggest umbrella, the United Nations. We go to a regional organization, the European Union, that called for adherence to international law. The EU has reinforced its commitment to two-state solutions. Officials have expressed concerns that such proposal might hinder peace efforts and might also further reiterate the importance of addressing the root cause of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They supported the Palestinian rights. The EU have supported initiative aims to upholding Palestinian rights and self-determination, while opposing any steps that would result in permanent settlement change or demographic shifts. The Arab League had the same response, of course. The 22 countries have produced resolutions opposing from day one the excessive use of force against the Palestinians, against civilians, and now the Arab League or the 22 leaders will meet on the 4th of March to discuss what is their proposal for Gaza and for reconstructing Gaza. If we move to response of human rights institutions like Human Rights Watch or Amnesty, they both have condemned forced displacement. Both Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International have condemned and proposed have condemned any proposal, classifying them as violation of international human rights law. They argue that such actions would constitute a form of collective punishment to the Palestinians and further suffering to civilians in Gaza. Campaigns for Palestinian rights have took place, demonstrations have took place, engagement with legal society, with civil society. Demonstrations in Arab countries have took place. Not only that, but also in the Western world and in different universities. So far, the situation is very sad. So far, the situation is not indicating that there is a solution to the ideas of Trump and Netanyahu of forced displacement. I don't know if you watched yesterday or maybe the day before yesterday, there was an AI video made for Trump showing Netanyahu sitting on the beach, drinking a drink, and it's called Riviera of Gaza, as if people one day would be willing to swim in a sea of blood. The sea there was watered by the blood of the Palestinians, the 46,600 who were killed, children, women who were killed. I look forward to hear from you. How do you see the situation for the audience? What do they propose? We don't know if the ceasefire will continue or not. So far, the first period or the first session of it has taken place, but still there are claims that the Israelis will not continue and might stop the ceasefire. Thank you, and looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really very, you simplified very difficult facts and figures and different kinds of, viewpoints in what you said. And it looks very easy to do, but it's actually very difficult. So thank you so much. And my first question to you is that I don't understand Trump's foreign policy with Israel. For example, initially he tweeted Professor Jeffrey Sachs' video against Netanyahu, then called Netanyahu to US as the first president to visit US. Then he has taken over that the idea of Gaza Riviera is now under US and not under Israel, and somehow Elon Musk is involved in it. The Epstein files are not being released. There's so much of conspiracy around what Trump really wants. And I don't think that it is only about Gaza. I think the displacement will also be from West Bank. What do you think?
I totally agree. What happened in Gaza is a prova for the West Bank. Okay, Trump. Usually the United States, no matter how they support Israel, they always maintained a distance. But now we see that Trump policy is not maintaining any distance. Trump is a businessman. And if you look at his policies internally, he does not believe in reform or whatever. He believes in just demolishing and building a new institution. And for him, the solution, the two-state solution, has not been working for a long time. So now he demolished the idea of the two-state solution, and he is moving to, let's get the Palestinians out, we will build a Riviera, and for other states to bear the solution. And yesterday, there was one of the American think tanks who made a new proposal. You know that Egypt is somehow, we can say, heavily indebted to the international community. So the proposal is, you run Gaza, and we will relieve you from your debts. Mind you, not all our debts are American debts. Partially Americans, partially from the World Bank, from the IMF, and from the Gulf countries. So who said that the Gulf countries would be willing to relieve our debt? And who said that the problem is not only with the leaders, the problem is with the people in the street. Egyptians in the street will not accept this. No leader can come up and accept that the Palestinians would be displaced, or that Egypt will accept to displace any nation This is not only discrimination and people killed and whatever. This is affecting the idea of statehood, which is the base of international organization. Trump doesn't believe in international organizations. He doesn't believe in that. He doesn't believe in the UN. And I have to say that all Republicans are the same, but maybe Trump goes to the extreme.
Yeah. And do you think there will be a situation if Egypt does not agree, then they will put pressure, economic pressure, or the funding pressure on the military to make President Sisi bow down to the American?
I think already we have two kinds of US aid. Since Egypt signed Camp David, Egypt has been getting 1.3 billion annually as a grant for military assistance. This military assistance consists of weapons, of training military people, and of spare parts. So my guess is that he will freeze it either fully or partially. We also have an economic grant every year, and I think it's about $100 million. 100 million, yes. And it usually goes for education. He already frozen it. And the problem is people on scholarship now, we are looking for support from businessmen at the American University where I relate, our alumni, because we have a huge number of scholarships. Our alumni, we've made a fund for these students to be able to complete their studies at AUC. The American University in Cairo. So yes, he will put pressure by freezing either partial or full funds of the economic assistance and military assistance, I expect. Also, they will not give us support to get aid from the IMF and World Bank. They are the highest in the voting for who to get and who, or they might freeze a program that we already have with the IMF. Yes, they will put pressure. We do expect this, but also whether he admits it or not, Egypt is important to the United States. So it's a strategic ally. There is lots of sharing intelligence regarding terrorism. The United States gets priority in passing the Suez Canal. The relation between the Pentagon and the military is very strong. So I think it will be, yes, he will exert pressure, and I think there will be, but Egypt will not bow because simply no one can bow in front of forcibly displacement.
Yeah, no, that's very correct. And also, just as in Israel, there is a widening gap between the IDF, the Shin Bet, and Netanyahu, like Yoav Gallant versus Netanyahu. And at the same time, in US also, the Pentagon, the CIA, and versus Trump and Musk.
Exactly.
So that kind of dissonance is there. Fayaz, one of our volunteers, ma'am, is asking that how might a comprehensive solution to the Palestinian refugee issue work out, which is balancing both the humanitarian concern, the political concern, and regional stability?
The issue is the Palestinian refugees who existed in Arab countries long time ago, they are living their lives, having their documents, educating their children, even they are getting facilitation to their life, to their education, getting insurance for health and so on. The Palestinians that already exist in Gaza, they don't want to leave, most of them. They consider that if they leave, this will be their last chance in their country. So simply, it is not an issue of how actually it is their decision. It is not anyone's decision, but their decision.
Yes. And in fact, the Palestinians who are in Gaza are already refugees of 1948. And
Exactly. They want the Israelis to go back to the 1967 borders.
Yeah.
And they said we will not repeat 1914. The problem of displaced force the moment the Palestinians will leave, the Israelis will get in
Yeah.
and encourage Jews all over the world to get in. So the demographics will change. This is the main issue. The main problem is that the demographics will change because the Israelis, the issue of the Palestinian-Israeli case is mainly an issue of Palestinians leaving and Israelis getting in
Yes.
since 1948. So if they accept this again, simply they will be losing their case completely.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And also the entire concept of Eretz Israel, which is, 1967 borders or beyond. Even, for example, now they're talking about they're not going to evacuate from the buffer zone in Lebanon. They're not going to evacuate from Syria. So the borders are very, very fluid.
Exactly.
And it is completely like very traumatic for those who are involved in this seven front war that has been created. And also, not only my empathy is also with the Israeli families of the hostages and the Bibas family, for example, who are clearly stating and asking Netanyahu to not use the Bibas episode for propaganda. Because they have said that the Hannibal Directive was used against them. And IDF was involved.
We have to put into consideration that Netanyahu is also protecting his own position.
Yes.
Because whatever has happened from the war, it's first an intelligence fault that led to this war. And then the economy has been severely affected. The Israeli economy, he was not fast enough in getting the hostages, and Hamas will never vanish. Even the idea of eradicating Hamas will never vanish. Today you have Mama Hamas, tomorrow you'll have son of Hamas and the daughter of Hamas, because simply this is a generation that have witnessed horror, and terrorist groups will make sure to make the best out of it.
Yes.
I had some research on ISIS some time ago, and we were analyzing 570 videos of Daesh. If you look how they cultivate on the anger, on the feeling of humiliation, to attract people from all over the world, even second generations who come from Arab origin, they cultivate on that. They make songs on that. So I think that violence brings violence, and there is already a rich land to attract these young people.
Yeah, I mean, like Hamas is not organization; it's an idea at the end of the day, and it cannot be when, for example, the Israeli hostage kissing a Hamas member at the forehead. It went completely viral. And then Israel said that Hamas needs to stop this farewell ceremony that they give as propaganda.
But now Hamas is saying that these Israelis are getting money from Hamas. So Hamas knows how to, deception,
Yes.
make a deception. They are very good at that. And they are very good at showing that, we should be sorry for them, etc. What Hamas is doing now is what Hitler has done what Israel is doing now is what Hitler has done to them earlier.
Yes.
Sad, very sad story.
Yeah. Ma'am, Anurag is asking that how will Hamas feature in the reconstruction of Gaza? For example, Netanyahu has said that neither Palestinian Authority nor Hamas will be allowed to govern Gaza.
I don't think Hamas will have a role in the reconstruction. The reconstruction is not an easy story because it's not only an infrastructure thing. There is a psychological thing. There is, it's infrastructure, psychological reconstruction of the human beings that were terribly devastated. So it's multitask. This is one thing we need to agree on. The other thing, if we look at the infrastructure, well, lots need to be done. We need to find where the money will come from. Because let's remember that Gaza was reconstructed before. So we need to have an international fund where all will chip in for this to happen. This is one thing. The other thing is how to make it livable while reconstructing. Yesterday I was in a think tank, and we were discussing comparative approach to states who were reconstructed after wars, especially in Africa. And it was found that those who had its people in it while reconstructing, the people of the states, like Rwanda or whatever, or Liberia, shared in the reconstruction, this peace continued constantly. But does Israel want a constant peace? Or they want to take Gaza, and they want to take the West Bank, and they want to take now parts of Syria? This is the main question. So, and they have Trump, who is giving them complete support.
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
And also, no one really knows what is because I think Steve Witkoff has a lot of power.
Mm.
More than Masad Bulus, more than Musk, more than anyone. Steve Witkoff is able to be very direct both with Trump and with Netanyahu. And we don't know what game is being played as of now by him.
The era we're living in is very similar to the era between the two world wars, where there were lots of hidden agendas and hidden treaties and unfair treaties and weakness of the international organization system. So simply, there is lots of resemblance.
Yes.
And but the problem is, in Second World War, there was not all this technology. The explosives were not that severe. So the problem is that that's why it's very important to find a solution.
Yeah.
Not only for forceful displacement, but for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
Yeah, because displacement is never the solution. US does not have any mandate over the region. And Trump is like, we will not have American soldiers on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So how is he trying to manage it without any kind of, backfire on the American military or private contractors? This is difficult to...
I think if it happened, the Israelis will do the job. Yeah. And some mercenaries like he does. But I cannot see the Arabs allowing this to happen, or the international. If it is allowed, this will be the start of lots of, bleak picture. Not only we've seen Trump talking to Canada, talking to Mexico, so it will be the same everywhere.
Yeah, it's like a prototype that a model has been created for other ultra-nationalist authoritarian regimes to follow, and they know how to appease Trump, and but they can learn the lesson from Israel and follow it with AI capitalism and all the videography, whatever dystopian nightmares they can have. Anurag is asking another question, that what is the role played by the Organization of Sinai Tribes in Egypt's approach to Gaza question, especially when we talk about the stability of the Rafah border crossing?
Well, I'm not in favor of saying Sinai Tribes. We have a military, a united military. Sinai tribes might be helping, but we have one unified military.
Yes.
And Egypt is one country. Egypt is a mosaic. Egyptians' identity is Muslim, Christian, Pharaonic, Arab, African, Amazigh, Bedouins, and we like this when we move towards anything. It is this mosaic moving together.
Yeah.
So yes, Sinai tribes know the area very well. They have their connections, but at the very end, if there is any attack, it will be the Egyptian military.
Yeah, the Egyptian
Maybe
militaries. Yeah.
the tribes could play the role of the counterinsurgency or whatever. But again, it is the Egyptian military.
Yeah, Egyptian military has always like we have to remember also that in how in 1973 during the presidentship of Anwar Sadat, how the Egyptian military had created a foolproof plan that had even shocked Israel.
Exactly. The idea of mercenaries or whatever, this is not will never be the case in Egypt.
Yeah,
It's one military, very well trained, very well organized, moves under the commander of the military.
yeah. And ma'am, Fayaz is asking that uh, what is, in short, the impact, or what will be the impact of the dismantling of US aid at
Mm.
a international global level on Gaza, West Bank? Because US aid has, like India, Trump also said that US is involved in, has invested 47 billion
Billion.
or billion, yeah, in Asia in voter turnouts, and around 20 to 27 billion on India. And he's very critical of the BRICS. He's very critical of our um, uh, export rates and many other things, customs duties, and he might impose tariff. Like today, he has imposed 25% tariff on European Union
Mm.
goods.
My mentor in life used to tell me always in every crisis there is an opportunity. And maybe now it's the opportunity for us to know or to stop our dependence on military aid or on economic aid or on whatever. And to know that it is not constant. The danger of what Trump is doing is on the American brand itself, on the trust in the Americans, in the trust of the American dream. I remember the first time Trump was elected in his first term. I entered my classroom at the university and I asked my students, "What do you think?" And a Tunisian student told me, "They elected someone who defies all their principles. He defies democracy, he defies women respect. What's happening to the Americans?" The problem is when Trump leaves the United States, unless he had made an economic success, which we do not see yet, the American society will be really polarized.
Yeah. It is, in fact, right now very, very fragile, very polarized. And the approval ratings of Trump are falling down even before, like, it's just 1 month in office. And the midterm elections are like 2 years away. So the approval ratings are falling down. And uh, one problem which I, at a personal level, think that there is a certain kind of massive power gap between the Israeli lobby in US versus the Arab lobbies, even the Asian lobbies.
Mm.
So, what do you think? Will lobbying, a concerted lobbying effort by the Arab leaders, have any role to play, especially when it comes to Mossad?
Uh, we have to say that the Israelis, they lobby, they have a strong lobby, they have also strong interference in the society.
Yeah,
The Wall Street, the media, the banking, etc. And their diaspora is very attached to their homeland. This might not be the case to the Arab countries. And we might not see a united action. This is not 1973 or the life of 1973, where the Arabs would boycott or not allow oil for the Westerns. But still, leaders, even for self-interest, even if they do not believe, they cannot allow this displacement. Their people will never allow it.
yes.
if you look in history, when Sadat made peace of Camp David with Israel, all the Arab countries boycotted him because simply they cannot their people cannot accept this. Especially that the people in the street, they've seen massacres happening to women and children, videos. There are lots of documentation, terrible documentation.
Yeah, and even then there's a debate on if or whether or not it is a genocide. That is something which is it's very dark humor that we have normalized the consumption of violence to a level that we have become nonchalant about it. That, oh, yes, okay, 5 Palestinians, 20 Palestinians, okay.
As if they are figures, not human beings.
Exactly. That kind of alienation. And
because we think it will never happen to us.
Yes.
But now, with what he said about Canada, what he said about Mexico, what Netanyahu said about Saudi Arabia, he's affecting the brand of the idea, the glory of the United States. The United States always cared about how people view it. Even after 9/11, their slogan was, why don't they love us? Now, very difficult to support what Trump is doing. Very difficult. Trump is benefiting from the weakness of the Democrats. The Democratic Party was not able to present a strong leader early enough, and left it for the Republicans. And the Republicans and whoever voted for Trump, they voted for him because of the supermarket bill. Yes. The economic situation is very weak. They don't care about Palestine. They don't care about all this. Maybe the younger generation cares, but they don't care. What they care is prices and inflation and taxes.
Yeah. And the student protest movement has again started in US. Media is not covering it much, but Columbia University's Twitter handle is stating about the kind of arrests that have again started within the past 2-3 days of students. And one thing which I believe is also very problematic for the Democrats is because they could not, just as Kamala Harris could not reach out to the Indian Americans, she was not able to reach out to the Arab Americans or take ownership of Biden's policies and the failures of it.
This is one thing. The other thing is the issue of homosexuality. And many Arabs, even if they do not believe in Trump, they would not vote for policies that allow homosexuality. So he was able to gain the votes of the Arabs, although they know that he would discriminate against them because of this issue and because of abortion.
Yes, that is when the pro-life versus choice debate is very strong and very deep in US. At the same time, did you see in the video there were two bearded men dancing in women's attires in the Trump video? And that was something which was does he know what he has posted? So that is something which is very interesting. And at the same time, how do you, what has been the current life of Palestinians who were able to be evacuated to Egypt?
Egyptians are warm by nature. Yeah. And they are emotional by nature. You've lived 1 month and you know. We have many not perfect things, but we are emotional. So when the Syrian came, we welcomed, we opened the houses, we helped the needy. Same is happening with the Palestinians who were evacuated. They were allowed into hospitals, allowed into education, allowed into even several NGOs have been supporting in furnishing their houses, etc. This is, and some of them, they have relatives who live in Egypt since long time ago, their families, so they were able to join.
Yeah, no, it is that I agree with you completely because at a particular moment in Cairo, in Alexandria, and many other places, I didn't feel as if I'm in a different country. I felt it is India. There's so many similarities in the semiotics of it that I never, at times I felt I would start speaking in Hindi That was the feeling I had in Egypt, and the warmth of the people and the way they open up.
Uh-huh.
There is
Exactly.
no hidden agenda or propaganda. So that is something which I really found very fascinating in Egypt,
Simple.
especially very simple
Very
and
simple.
very warm, very the kind of hospitality and everything. It was one of the best that I received in
Thank
any
you.
of the West Asian or Middle Eastern countries, and it was really very touching because the story of and how the pride Egyptians have in their identity,
Mhm.
the way they tell stories about their identity.
Yes, yes,
That is
yes.
something, that pride is not about religion, that pride is not about culture, that
Mhm.
pride is a very unifying factor
Mhm.
which is not individualistic at all.
Mhm.
So that is something which is very rare.
This is because we have a diversity of cultures, diversity of background, and we accept each other. So the issue of acceptance and we accept even foreigners. We have many ports, so we always had foreigners around us. So this is how it came. If a neighbor country is in a problem, we would not. 80% of all the products for helping the people in Gaza comes from Egypt, although we are having serious economic problems.
Also, with this, I would like to really thank you for the privilege of your time and taking out, almost an hour to speak with us.
It's my
And
pleasure.
and
And really,
the
thank you for
depth.
inviting me. And I'm already a friend of your institution now. So, and if you ever come to Egypt, please be my guest.
Thank you so much. Shukran, Habibti.
Shukran,
And
Habibi.
and masalama.
Ba salama. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you everyone for joining. I will upload it, ma'am, in 2 days.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Highly appreciate it. Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Shukran. Bye. Bye.
Bye.